Happy spooky season, everyone! October is by far my favorite month of the year. I love everything Halloween related, and I cannot believe it's already time to make this year's Halloween costume. I'm so excited. My Halloween plans for this year, I'm actually getting together with my book club, and we're reading a book called The History of Witches. That's not what it's called. What's it called? I forget. Myself and my book club are getting together on Halloween, and we decided we're all gonna dress up as witches. I don't think I've ever made myself a witch costume. It's like so classic, and yet somehow I don't have a witch costume. So I was really thinking through what I wanted to do this year, and I was kind of inspired by Outlander. There is a little bit of a Halloween-y aspect to it in that there's some witches in the book, so I decided to go a little bit more historically accurate, if you will. I'm actually using this pattern from Simplicity. It is pattern 8161, and I am actually doing view B here and more of kind of a witchy vibe. Okay, here's what I've got going so far. I picked out just a regular black linen for the bodice part, and then for the skirt I picked out some flannel buffalo check, basically. It's not super traditional witch and not super traditional colonial era costume either. It's somewhere in between, but hey, I'm pretty excited about it. I like the mixture of these textures together. I think they're really nice. So I'm gonna get going on putting the bodice together today.
So I've already got this bodice one part of it done anyway. This took me no time at all. I, of course, usually love a good French seam, but I looked ahead in the directions and we're going to insert some boning into our seam allowance here. So I just did a zigzag stitch to kind of finish off the inside. This kind of beautiful princess seam in the back, and then this is the front, and we'll kind of lace up the front here. I'm learning that just now that I have to do a lining for this, which I think will be really nice, but I forgot to cut out lining pieces, so now I have to do that and create the lining. But we're well on our way.
Okay, here's where I'm at. I made two of these bodices, one in black, which is the outside, and then I made another one out of a lighter linen just because I was out of the black linen, but this is the lining for the inside, so same exact thing. The next step though is to put in some boning on this lining, and I am a novice when it comes to boning. I did the thing of actually buying real boning instead of using zip ties, which I know is like the thing to do now, and yeah, let's see if this works. I don't know what I'm doing exactly. Oh, okay, here's my question. Am I supposed to leave it in this like casing thing or not? I feel like I'm gonna leave it in. Also, is there any way to make this less round? Like, how do I make this actually sit straight? Because if it's gonna be on my body, I don't want it to be super round, right? Are these all logical questions? I really don't know what I'm doing with this, guys. I think I'm just gonna shove it into the lining and see what happens. It is past my bedtime, but I have been struggling to figure out how to sew in the lining, the sleeve edges, the lining and the outside together. The instructions just don't make sense. The pictures are not helpful at all. So I had to look up a few videos and tutorials and things on how to sew in a sleeve lining, and I finally figured it out. And so I thought I would share what I found.
I started with the wrong sides of the fabric together and placed a pin on the seam of the inside arm. Then I pulled the sleeve through the 2 layers of fabric, making sure that the pin stayed in place as a reference point so my sleeves don't twist. Now here's the trickiest part. I removed the pin and flipped the sleeve edge so that the right sides would be together instead of the wrong sides. You can see that it takes a little bit of finagling, but once you manage to get the seams to line up with the right sides together, then the rest kind of falls into place. I kind of tucked one sleeve edge into the other sleeve edge and pinned all the way around so that both sleeve edges had right sides together, then sewed exactly where I pinned.
Okay, so once you do that little weird flippy sleeve thing and you sew around the edge, what you have kind of turned inside out are these 2 sleeves. It's almost easier to see kind of how one sleeve fits inside the other, right edges together all the way around. Does that kind of make sense? It looks really weird, but I promise it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you. So you can kind of see it a little bit better. And all I'm gonna do now is turn this back so that the lining is back inside, and look at how beautiful that is. Now all I'm gonna do is press it and then it'll match this side. And goodness, that means we're almost done with this bodice part finally. The last thing I need to do is just close up this bottom edge and then do the grommets up the front. Grommets scare me, man. Okay, so if you haven't caught on yet, I am basically doing this project every single time I have some time off, in the evenings, on the weekends, that sort of a thing. I think I'm on day 4 or 5 of this costume project. I've also got on a fabulous outfit today, so let me show you that real quick. Today I'm going to work on the skirt. I still have to do the grommets on my bodice piece, but to be honest with you, I am so nervous about doing those grommets. I've never done grommets before, and I don't technically have that little like tool, so I'm just gonna do it with a hammer. I'm kind of putting that off. I'm procrastinating a little bit on the grommet situation. I just gotta grab my sewing basket here and let's at least get into the skirt. Okay, so last night I did all of the pleats on the skirt and basically sewed up the side seams and everything. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So today's goal is to finish the skirt and make the little stomacher piece for underneath the bodice. And then here's the other thing. I found out, or I realized, that on the pattern, the little white ruffle showing through on the photo, wait, I should grab it and show you. Hang on. Okay, this, see the little white, the ruffle on the sleeves and around the neck? That is the undergarments. And the undergarments are a completely different pattern. Basically, now I'm really contemplating whether or not I should take the time to make the underwear for this thing. How historical do I get? The underwear basically is like this little chemise dress thing and a corset and also the like butt pads. Yeah, I'm just so not sure. I'm considering either just going for it or faking it somehow, maybe just making a little ruffle around the neckline. But then on the other hand, that underwear might be fun to make. I've never made a corset before. It would be a great learning experience for me. And why not just go all out? I don't know. Okay, so today we'll finish up the skirt and we'll finish up the stomacher, and then maybe I'll decide whether or not I should do the chemise and the underwears.
Oh, and I figured out that if you iron a wet paper towel on top of the boning, it'll stay flat. Problem solved, no more curvy boning pieces.
I did it. I decided to do the undergarments after all. The thing is I'm like almost done with my dress, and I just feel like it's not gonna be complete until I have the thing underneath it that nobody's gonna see, but I'll know it's there. So I had to come back to the craft store anyway for some more interfacing. So I just figured, let's just go for it. Let's just do it. It'll take a little bit more time, but why not? Okay, I am officially calling it quits for the weekend. I did finish the skirt and the stomacher, and the bodice is all finished again, except for those dang grommets I'm gonna get to. Oh, and I also have to hem the skirt still. So this next week, I'm going to work on the chemise and the undergarments. And then the only thing I have left after that is a witch hat, which is gonna be the most fun part. I'm honestly so looking forward to that. Anyway, I will show you what I finished with this weekend.
Obviously, I still need to hem the bottom here. I'll do that last. But man, I love this fabric. I think the waistband turned out pretty good. And the waistband is actually a casing that has these guys. And then this is kind of like this big opening on the side. So that's gonna stay open, and then it ties on either side like this, which I'm assuming is the historical way to do it. I honestly don't really know. Love all of these pleats at the top. I think they're just so pretty and so nice. Here is my bodice where I've left it. So when I apply the grommets, they'll go down either side like this and kind of tie together like a corset top. And then underneath that is the stomacher. Now, the stomacher is this panel that has some boning in it, and that's all it is. And to be honest with you, I'm really confused as to how this is supposed to like attach, because there's no like attachments or anything. It's just kind of gonna sit there like this underneath the bodice. I'm not really sure, but I did it. I'm so happy that I now know how to do boning. Anyway, that is it. The stomacher, the bodice, and the skirt. That is pretty much the whole costume. I'll get to work on that chemise and the underwear. Okay, so here's the scoop. I worked late into the night last night trying to finish that chemise, and I got pretty far on it until I ran out of thread. So I had to wait until this morning to run to Joann's, get some thread, and while I'm out, I decided that I would also get some zip ties for the corset that I'm gonna try to make. I honestly don't really know exactly what kind of zip ties that I'm supposed to find, but anyway, we'll see what we can find here. Got him. See how this goes. Okay, so I was actually really excited to learn how to make a corset, and everything's been going so well so far. I've made, you can kind of see, this is like gonna wrap around like, oh no, that's the back. It's gonna wrap around like this. I
come forward and attach and be this cute little corset. I thought this was gonna be pretty easy. It's just a bunch of straight seams for boning and that's it. And I'm like blasting through it. And then I get to the bias tape part. I've done bias tape before, but for whatever reason, this is like nothing I've ever done before. I'm trying to do bias tape around all of these little loop-de-loop-de-doos, and I cannot get it to like lay flat and look good and not pucker. You need corners. It needs to make corners. How do you...
6 hours later.
Well, after like an entire day of research and trying to figure out how to fix my double bias tape solution, I basically figured out that there are no tricks to go around corners except to just make it happen. And actually, it turns out that the solution to my problem was that my double fold bias tape that I bought was too thick. Instead of this thick, which I was trying to like ease around corners and stuff, all I needed was to go out and get double bias tape that is this thin, and then it was a breeze. This has been working so far. I got half of the corset done. I started working on the other half and feeling really good about my progress, started putting the boning in, and then I noticed a major mistake that I made, and I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you. This is the half that I finished. Pretty dang proud of this. I mean, again, this thinner bias tape worked so much better. Even did all of this, the strap up at the top. So we'll do grommets. This is the front, and then grommets on the back, and it'll lace up both the front and the back. So I got going on the other half, and do you see a difference? I forgot to cut these two slits are supposed to go right here. This is going to take so much time to take out and redo, but I can't have one side look like this and the other side look like that. So we gotta just fix it. Listen, you gotta figure that every project has some major seam ripping to do. So where's my handy seam ripper? I'm gonna sit here and watch Gilmore Girls and do some seam ripping for the next hour, I'm sure, and then completely redo this half of the corset. Oh my goodness, you guys. I just had to go to the DIY center to get more zip ties because I guess one pack isn't enough. I just ran to the DIY center really quick to get more zip ties. Wore my fancy Halloween vest, my favorite thing to wear. I've literally worn it every single day in October. And when I was there, this woman came up to me and asked if I worked there because I was wearing this. And I'm a little bit dead. I cannot believe that this is what it's come to. Honestly, I'm proud of it. I love this vest so much. If you think I work at the DIY center because I wear this funky mom vest, then I'll take it. Okay, I'm checking in with another late night sewing session. I just honestly, all of a sudden, out of the blue, got the courage to do these grommets at like 8 o'clock at night. So here we are, it's totally dark, and I did a practice grommet, and I am honestly shocked with how well it came out. It's like totally not going anywhere. It doesn't look like I cut the hole too large or anything. Anyway, I'm pretty excited about this, and I think I'm gonna sit here and turn on some evening TV and do the eyelets on my corset because I finally finished all of the binding on the two halves of my corset. I'm so happy with how it turned out. You can see all that boning. Yeah. And the binding, it's not the most beautiful stitch work like you can kind of see in here, but I'm still happy with it. All it needs is some grommets on the front and back, and then I can start lacing it up. So here we go.